Hey, friend, pick up the phone. We gotta talk, girl. We gotta talk. Because what if I told you the rights that we every day take for granted could be stripped away from us like they never existed? hmm Rights like citizenship, equal legal protections, even your right to vote. Girl. All gone. Yeah, honey. Crazy to think about, right? What if I told you that that's what's trying to happen right now? That is what our politicians are working on. hmm The 14th Amendment is the backbone of civil rights in America, and it's under attack. It is under attack, honey. We have to do something. Mhm. I came across Miss Dindy's powerful TikTok series today. Wake Up 14th America. Wonderful series, absolutely educational. But it was a few people on there that just was not getting it. So I thought maybe I would tack on my little 2 cents and see if maybe we can get the ball across the field, you know? Okay, so let's start here, right? What happens if we lose it? Well, in order to understand what happens if we lose it, we first have to start with the history and the purpose of it. So let's start there. After the Civil War, America was faced with a huge question. What do we do with 4 million Black Americans? Newly freed people. Many Southerners just refused to accept Black people as humans or as citizens. They didn't believe that we deserved the right of citizenship. So as a result, they created what's called Black Code laws. Those Black Code laws were designed to keep Black people economically and politically powerless. Yep. I bet you didn't know that, friend. You did? Okay. Well, I'm glad you knew that. Let's talk some more about it. The 14th Amendment, which was ratified in 1868, was created to force states to recognize Black people as full citizens. It gave us three major protections also as a result. Mhm. It gave us citizenship rights, meaning if you're born in the US, you are a citizen, period. No questions asked, none needed. Second, gave us the due process clause, meaning no state can take away your rights without a legal process. Third one, it gave us equal protection, meaning the laws have to apply equally to everyone. Yeah, girl. I know that's a lot, right? Yeah, I know, but it don't seem like it's a lot on the surface. But wait, we gonna dig in a little further. We're gonna talk about it a little bit more because I really want to make sure we're on the same page, friend. Okay? Okay, friend. So now we're gonna talk about why the 14th Amendment still matters. Because the 14th Amendment is about more than race. It's about more than gender. The 14th Amendment, when it was ratified, it gave us protections that were the very basis and foundations for laws that allow for and protect interracial marriage, i.e., Loving v. Virginia, desegregation in schools, i.e., Brown v. Board of Education. It also, excuse me, it also gave us the legal right to same sex marriages in Ogerfield v. Hodgins. Without it, basically, states could go back to discriminating against anybody that they wanted to for whatever reason that they wanted to. Hmm. Think about that, friend. Still don't sound like that big of a deal to you? Well, let's talk a little bit more. Maybe we can come to an understanding. Because I don't want to leave out a cold, friend. But I don't like that people out here talking crazy about you. Talking about how you ain't got it all up there. I don't like that. We not gonna do that, okay, friend? Cause we help each other. So if I know something that you don't know, I'm gonna tell you. Cause I can't have my friend out here looking crazy. We not gonna do that. So this is really where it gets real because politicians are actively trying to weaken the 14th Amendment and ultimately get rid of it. Why? Because it stops them from doing exactly what they want to do. They cannot do those things with the 14th Amendment in their way. Makes you ask questions like, what kinds of things is it that you are trying to do that make my humanity a threat? My human rights to love, go to school, to exist is a threat to what you're trying to do. That makes me question, what is it that you're really trying to do? So let's talk about what happens if it is actually removed. What does that look like? Well, besides crippling the fabric of everything that our government has been built on, what do we lose? As we stated before, birthright citizenship. So that means that children, generations of children who were born here, suddenly become stateless. If you don't know the significance of that, please, I urge you to pause this video and look it up. But then you have equal protection. States could legally discriminate against Black people, women, LGBTQ folks, immigrants of any other kind, anyone that they don't like for any reason, just because they don't like them, because they're bored, because their ass itched. I don't know. They could do it because that's what they decided that they wanted to do. Third thing, felony disenfranchisement would more than double. It would expand exponentially because Black voters who have already been disproportionately criminalized would then have their votes erased permanently. Okay. Finally, states could then ignore the Bill of Rights, meaning police could then go and search your home without a warrant. Speech could be censored, legal representations could be denied and or falsified. I mean, the ramifications of this could go well beyond anything. If you want to know what the world would look like without the 14th Amendment, just go back a few years. Okay? Yes, it is that bad. Yes, it is that serious. And you'd like to think that you have minds in this world that are evolved enough to not want to take us back to that time. But the reality is, that's why they want to get rid of the 14th Amendment. That's why they want to go back to the happier times. If you think about it, the people who are pushing for these are the people who were alive during civil rights movement. They were some of the people, families, generations who benefited from Black labor, but then suddenly had that stripped away from them. They could no longer utilize the loopholes within the 14th Amendment to get free labor, because if you think that slavery and forced free labor stopped when the slaves were freed, or even when the 14th Amendment was ratified, you are sadly mistaken. My father is living proof. So are my grandparents. So, consequences of this would be massive. Just go back and look at history and see what it would look like, because anything you could never imagine. Does any of this sound familiar to you, friend? It should. It should sound very familiar. Mm-hmm. Because this is exactly what happened after Reconstruction ended in 1877. You know that old phrase, history repeats itself? It's trying to here. And if they succeed, well, at least you can say, we already know what that looks like, right? Because we do. Sad, ain't it, friend? We would like to think that the world has so evolved, and because they have cannibalized our culture already so much, that they must see our value, and they couldn't possibly really want to do that. Baby, no, friend, no. And our ancestors weren't complacent in any of that. They weren't. They were fighting. But see, in order to fight, they had to live. In order to win that fight, they had to survive. See, we love to tell stories like Emmett Till and put stories like Emmett Till on a pedestal, which they do belong there. However, the story of Emmett Till was a warning. That's right. That's how we got to know about Emmett Till. It was a warning from our elder family members who grew up in those areas and had migrated north. It was a cautionary tale. See, the people that died, that self-unalived, sacrificed themselves, however you want to phrase it. They were cautionary tales. The people that actually changed history, they were the ones who survived and fought for the right to continue surviving, living, and thriving. Let's put this in a little bit of perspective before we go. I will be 34 next week. My mother will be 67 in June. Similarly, my father will be 77 in June. All of my grandparents were born between 1917 and 1924, born in the deep, deep South. I'm talking about Mississippi and Arkansas. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. My grandparents lived in a time in America where Black people were not seen as citizens or people, even though the 14th Amendment existed and was in place and was ratified. They watched neighbors, friends, family members get drug out of houses, beat, burned, mutilated, decapitated, sodomized, everything, just for trying to vote, just for thinking that they had the right to walk on the same side of the street. I mean, it was bad. Yeah, it was bad. They were forced into second class status by the very racist laws that were created to be loopholes and workarounds against the Fourth Amendment. My parents, born before the Civil Rights Movement, though after the Reconstruction, grew up in a world where fighting for basic rights meant fighting dogs in the streets, literally, fire hoses, police batons, you name it. Me, I was born in 1991. By then, they had figured out a new way to control us: mass incarceration, felony disenfranchisement, the war on drugs, over policing our neighborhoods. They had found a way to do the same thing Jim Crow did, but making it legal under the 13th and 14th Amendments. And now the talk is to remove the 14th Amendment completely. Do you see where this is going, friend? Are you noticing a pattern? Because if not, let me help you. This ain't up for debate. This is not a policy debate. This is not a debate on any of that. This is about the generational cycles between us and them that are continuously perpetuated. My grandparents fought to be seen as citizens at all, as humans at all. My parents fought for civil rights to be seen as equal. And now, here they are expecting us all to be so tired and so worn out, too distracted, too disconnected to fight for what's left. They are quite literally depending on us crashing out and saying, F all of this. That's the idea, to make you tired, too tired to vote because you don't think it means anything, to make you too tired to fight because what good has it gotten us in all these years? One thing she said, Miss Denny, she did say, and she was right. We are not our ancestors, but we are not our ancestors for all the wrong reasons. We are not our ancestors because we would rather crash out than try to figure out how to survive. We would rather crash out than listen to what our elders had to say and take those lessons and learn them and apply them, because we think our elders are full of and just trying to control us, when in all actuality they're teaching us the system that beat them down so bad that they had to learn it, not so that we can comply and be complacent, no, so that we could survive long enough to fight for the change that is needed. Because once again, the ones who made history and changed history are the ones that survived. They want us to believe that we cannot stop this, but history says otherwise. They only win if we stay silent. They only win if we choose not to survive. This is our moment, our motherfucking moment to stop history from repeating ourselves. And I said that right. This is our moment to stop history from repeating ourselves. Stay informed, stay loud, stay dangerous, and go use your fucking right to vote.